Kane, it's good to have you, on Sportstar's interview for the IPL. You're in quarantine, so you tell me, what are your thoughts about Sunrisers Hyderabad this time around? What are you looking forward?
Yeah, really exciting team, and I mean, any chance you get to compete in the IPL is really exciting. You always see some, a few new faces after each auction, along with a large number of players that have been a part of the franchise for a long period of time. So there's a nice balance there, and I suppose we saw a few differences to the last IPL, and there's a few more in this one, where obviously there's no home advantage, and we're all playing at neutral venues. So there's a few things as a side to get our heads around and try and adapt as quickly as possible, whether that's the style of cricket or the makeup of the team as well, I suppose.
Last time when the IPL happened in the UAE, Bio Bubble was a new setup for many of you. You didn't know what to expect. But of course, 8 months down the line, everyone is accustomed to the bubble life. So you tell me something this time around, how challenging will this none of the teams will have this home advantage. How much of a difficult or challenging will that be?
Yeah, I suppose, playing a number of games at the same venue, hopefully you can get a little bit of a read on things, but you will be wanting to do that as quickly as possible, because, for us, we play 2/3 of our games in two venues pretty much. So therein lies a good opportunity, but also some obvious challenges as well. So, I know the team are training well, and, personally, along with Davey and Boovy, we're looking forward to getting out of quarantine and getting into some training too.
And last season, of course, initially you didn't play for the few matches, and then you, of course, David, and the team actually picked up in the middle of the tournament. This time around, the setup was just slightly different, with Tom Moody coming in and at the top and everything a little bit here and there. So, what are your expectations like in personally? And of course, Johnny Bairstow comes back; he looks in good touch. So, how does the entire combination appear to be? Sorry.
Yeah, look, there's a number of players that I'm sure will be considered and be backed with full confidence, depending on the balance. And, it was great to play the majority of last season. And like you say, as a side, we sort of became a little bit clearer as we got through the competition on the style of cricket that we wanted to play and what we felt gave us the best chance of success. And we managed to go reasonably far in the tournament. And this year's different again. And I'm not sure at this point in time in terms of the balance, and I guess it's just yet to be seen. We need to get a feel for the conditions and what the coaches and director feel would be best suited. But as a player within a side, whatever that role is, it's important to try and get your head around, whether that's playing more than you're not, or the other way around. You're just trying to offer to the team as much as you can.
What are the areas that the team would particularly like to work on this time? Because more or less the unit looks same, so there's not much change. So keeping that in mind, what are the areas that one would like to work on?
Yeah, very similar. I think if we look at last year, although we still managed to go a reasonable distance in the competition, making it through to the finals and winning our first semi and losing the second one. But I think we saw throughout the campaign that it was there were some really small margins in terms of a lot of results were, on the last sort of few balls of the game. And I guess if you reflect back as a side, you can look at trying to make some small adjustments and not get too carried away with changing things too drastically. And I think as a side, we knew that we didn't quite hit our straps, I suppose, until midway. So I think any team coming into a tournament wants to try and do that as quickly as possible. And as we know in T20 cricket and in tournament cricket, if you can get some momentum, then that goes a long way to I suppose, carrying you through to some of the later stages of the competition.
Personally, the next few months are going to be very, very tiresome for you, because right after the World Cup, you move to the World Test Championship final. of course, against India. So, what are your thoughts? Because this is one tournament, one final that everyone is looking forward to.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it as well. Yeah, I mean, really exciting. Great that, over the space of 2 years, albeit with a lot of disruption, that, there is going to be the Test Championship final. And for us as a side, it's, we're chuffed to be one of those teams that are playing in it. And, it's really exciting. Another neutral venue, I suppose. Playing India, who are, at the top of their game and the best team in the world at the moment. So, great challenge for us. But I suppose at the moment the focus is the IPL, and then we'll quickly make those adjustments in due time. We have a couple of Test matches after this against England, and then the Test Championship final. So, plenty of cricket coming up.
And of course, Kane, you have been the finest ambassadors of the game. I mean, every time one talks about the New Zealand team, we all remember what happened in 2019 World Cup final. I mean, you are just this close. And do you think that this World Test Championships actually gives New Zealand a chance to break the ICC final champ jinx that's there?
I mean, the different formats, different competitions, but we're really excited to be involved in, and it's a great opportunity for us. I suppose it's a little bit different where it's not so much tournament play. You sort of span over 2 seasons or 2 years, I guess, to accumulate points and whatever is going on. And I think we saw with the introduction of the Test Championship that as it got close to the opportunity to be in a final, teams started playing perhaps more aggressively or in a certain way to try and give themselves the opportunity. And we certainly did that as a side in our home summer. And, for us, it worked out well, and it's given us that opportunity. And we saw it from a number of other teams around the world as well. So I think it has brought another dynamic to Test cricket. But, as a team, we're really excited to be involved in it. And we're just looking forward to that opportunity.
Of course, you would be taking on India, another side that has, of course, played some brilliant cricket in Australia and against England. So how challenging will that be? Because, there was a time when India, there was a perception that, Indian team didn't do very well overseas. But over the years, that mold has changed. So under Virat's leadership, how important is that challenge going to be? Like, how tough?
Yeah, I mean, a great challenge. We know how good they are in all conditions. The exposure these days, with often playing away from home, and there's so much experience in their side, along with a lot of talented youth. So they have a fantastic balance, and they're at the top of their game. So it's a great opportunity. They played extremely well with a lot of injuries as well in that Australian series, which was an incredible achievement for them. So I know they're full of confidence. And for us, we've been playing some reasonable cricket too. So we want to focus on what's important to our game, but it's going to be a great challenge.
Would it have been a poetic justice to lift the World Test Championships in Lords and not in Southampton? I mean, of course, now it's happening in Southampton, but do you think that would have given New Zealand team more opportunity to, make more charged up? Like, because 2 years later, 2 years ago, what happened there?
I mean, everybody wants to play at Lords because it's Lords. That hasn't crossed my mind. I don't think it's crossed many of the other players' minds. It's obviously a different team and a different format. And that's kind of where our focus is, wherever the final is to be played. It's not within our control. So we just sort of get our heads around that, and that's fine. So, I mean, it's a different venue, different surface perhaps. So it's important we adapt to those changes. But yeah, I mean, Lords is a special place to play cricket, but certainly, that's pretty much where it lies. And the Test team are very excited at this opportunity.
Just one question on World Test Championship before we move on is that this has been the first season. Of course, the corona played a very key role here, and things got a little here and there. But what are the lessons that you guys have learned, and what is the road ahead? Do you think, like cricketers like you, Virat, Steve Smith, So many superstars are playing this longer format. And what are the suggestions that you think that ICC need to work on to make the championship more exciting in the future?
Well, I think we saw with the introduction of the Test Championship, it's only sort of, well, one, I guess, cycle in, 2 years in, but having its first final. And it did bring a lot of excitement, I thought, to the back end of Test cricket all around the world, and teams were all gearing for a spot in the final, which was great. But no doubt they're always thinking about trying to improve the game and make it more popular. Although I do think it's in a reasonable place at the moment, but you don't sort of sit still and think that it'll be okay. It's always about trying to improve and get better. So I'm sure that, they'll be thinking about all formats and how they can do that. But probably a long conversation for another day, perhaps.
And of course, Kane, the IPL has been a game-changing experience for many cricketers. I mean, this time around, many cricketers feel that this tournament will actually give them a confidence ahead of the T20 World Cup that's lined up in India. So, for you personally, do you think that way? And what does this IPL mean to you, for you personally?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's more and more cricket being played in India. It's an amazing place to play whenever you get the opportunity, and the IPL is one of the biggest competitions in the world in all cricket. So to have that opportunity is really exciting. I suppose to marry that up with the T20 World Cup, it is quite different. All opposition are different, and when it's run by ICC, there are some differences as well. So, I suppose any opportunity that you get to play here with strong opposition, is something that's going to help you improve your game. So, there's some positives there moving forward. But probably hard to marry things up exactly with, the T20, which is still some way off.
Over the last few months, because of the pandemic, a lot has changed, because we have seen that the concept of neutral umpire has been done away with. We have home umpires doing it. How do you see it, number one? And also, a lot has been happening over the umpire's call and whether soft signal should be done away with. What are your thoughts as a captain?
I mean, look, nothing's perfect, and I think that's probably not a bad place to start. And then you look at the steps that have been taken to make sure cricket is played in a time where it is extremely difficult, and you do have to appreciate that effort. We're fortunate to be playing, and they sort of brought in that next another DRS review. With the home umpires and things, because travel's obviously been quite difficult. So, they have made some steps to see that work as smoothly as possible. However, there's probably always things to improve on, and hopefully in time, as life slowly gets back to normal, it'd be great to see things, get back to umpires that travel, and and some of these decisions and this on field and all these sorts of things, no doubt they're always being reviewed. And I think we can rest assured that all the efforts that go into it are to ensure that decision making is always improved. And I've got no doubt umpires are always thinking about how they can do that better. And I think we've probably seen across the board that decision making is good. But like players, you're always wanting to improve.
Every time we talk about the spirit of the game, your name comes for various reasons, because you have been that ambassador of the game. Over the last few years, in particular, recently also, the Quinton de Kock episode happened again, the question of spirit of the game was in question. But I mean, what are your thoughts on these incidents, like a man carding or this? How do you see this?
No, I think that. Look, everybody, as individuals, can sort of make their own decisions and have their own stance, I suppose, within the rules of the game. Whether other people have an opinion on that or not. I suppose there are opportunities when you do see it, and it's perhaps not in the spirit of the game where rules are adapted and changed, and we've seen that on a number of occasions. For myself and the New Zealand team in particular, we do place importance on our behaviour and the sort of cricket and the style of cricket that we want to play. And that's pretty much where it sits. We don't look to man-cat people and these sorts of things, but I know other people have other opinions, and I suppose there's a balance to that argument. If the opposition are looking to gain advantages, then some people consider themselves within their right to perhaps do some of these things. It is an interesting debate, I suppose. I think we're all ambassadors of the game, and you do want to see the game played in the right spirit at the end of the day. But like I say, they are opportunities to perhaps look at rules to make sure that it is encouraged that teams look to do that. And I think 99% of the time you do see it played in that fashion, which is great.
Just last 3 questions and then we are done. Is that number one, as far as this IPL is concerned, I mean, a lot of youngsters have made the headlines over the past few editions. In particular, last year or this time around, who are those youngsters that you're actually looking forward to watching or playing along?
Yeah, we've got a number of youngsters in our team that got game time last year and extremely talented. Priyam Garg and Abhishek, and there's a number of guys that are really promising. It's hard to pinpoint one or two. I think every team's got perhaps 3, 4 or 5 players that are just extremely talented. And I know every year, although I'm in quarantine at the moment, so I'm yet to meet a number of new players, but every year you come to the IPL, you just see this incredible talent of new young players that are within your squad and other teams as well. So it's pretty special, the depth that Indian cricket have, and the platform that they have with the IPL to give some young players the exposure and the opportunity to develop their game. Heading towards international cricket is an incredible thing for Indian cricket. So, there's a number of players, hard to pinpoint one, but it's exciting. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, and Ken, just a follow up to this. Every time we ask a young cricketer after the tournament, they say, "Oh, we got to learn so many things from the legends like Williamson, Warner," but they don't tell us what exactly are the discussions revolve around. Like, what do you when you meet a young cricketer, what exactly do you advise, or kind of like what are the general perceptions that you tell them, like, because they are youngsters coming, maybe playing their first season or just second season, something like that?
Yeah, they're probably they're not one-way conversations. You can always learn from each other, and I think just sharing environments is always a real positive thing to learn from other players. It might not be just direct conversations, but seeing how other people operate, and I think there's always things to learn from, whether you're a younger player or an older player. So and if players want to have a chat, then that's really cool too. There's always those conversations going on, whether it's a young player, an older player, or 2 old players. All the players have a real desire to improve. So those conversations are always being had.
Is that over the last almost 1 year, I would say, cricket has revolved around the bubble life. So when people come across, most people have been living inside the bubble for months, and it has had its impact. How do you see that? And also being you're being a father away from the family, how challenging does it get? And also, I'm just curious to know, how has how are you spending time with the little one? Like, how has life changed for Kane Williamson, because we know he's very, very soft spoken on the field. But how has life changed with the new responsibility?
I mean, firstly, bubble life is, everybody has a slightly different experience, but it's definitely a different dynamic leaving home when you've just had a baby, and your life does change very, very quickly as soon as the little one arrives, and it's an incredibly special time. And for me, I had a bit of time at home before coming over here, which I feel very fortunate to have had that, watching them grow and change, and it seems to happen so quickly. But there's this natural bond, sort of connection there that is like no other, and it happens so drastically, and it's it is an amazing experience to have, or a journey, I suppose, would be the right word, because it's ever changing, and always great, zooming or Skyping home and catching up with my girls.